Lights, camera, and action. What is happening, La Familia YouTube? It's me. It's Jason. I know I'm a little bit unrecognizable right now because I'm sitting in this fly ass studio right now. So, not really. This is a very makeshifty studio. I am my own producer. I'm thinking about firing the guy. And, anyways, as you guys can see, got a little bit of a new setup. This backdrop here is gonna hopefully be more temporary, but I was gonna put you guys in my music room, or put this setup in my music room. But honestly, there's nothing on the walls and everything, so I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm just gonna put them in my bedroom. So, anyways, you saw the title. You guys are probably like, what? And yeah, this is the inaugural episode of Talking Techware. I am not married to that possibly cringe name, nor am I married to the idea of doing a podcast because I might be bad at this and this may crash and burn. So it's a gigantic shot in the dark. And a big reason or big motivation as to why I decided I wanted to do this was because of the fact that I was watching one of my older videos, or just like one of my more recent videos, because I was like, oh, how can I improve this? And because I was thinking about this, I want to take this a little bit more seriously. I have fun doing it. So I watched one of my older videos just for reference. And yeah, I was noticing that I was rambling a lot, which you guys know I do. And shout out to a lot of you that subscribe to my channel, by the way, that powers through that. We'll get to that in a moment. But I was like, you know what? Since I'm rambling anyways, why don't I incorporate my unboxing videos with a podcast in a podcast format? So again, shot in the dark. I want to try it. So yeah, let's try it. Here we are. So this episode is going to kind of be more of an introduction episode. We're not going to really get into, a topic or anything like that. But I am going to cover a few things, kind of like the genesis of this channel. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is, speaking of shots in the dark, obviously Techware is a very niche fashion style. So the fact that I'm doing a podcast about such a niche fashion style that already has a very small group of people that are in the know about said fashion style, it is a shot in the dark. But I've really grown passionate about this style of clothing. And I've always been passionate about fashion in general. And that's, kind of why, so let's talk about, actually, this is a good segue. And by the way, I'm going to ramble because I'm going off the dome. And plus I can ramble now because it's a podcast. So only thing I got is a notebook full of some ideas here of stuff that I'm going to touch on, but no script. So that's why the ramble. But let's talk about why this channel is called People by Their Covers. Now, a lot of people who have been watching me for over the course of 4 years, and plus you guys have probably noticed my progression, that I've started taking it a little bit more and more seriously, started posting a little bit more frequently too as I bought things. But I always said in every one of those, in a lot of those unboxing videos here and there, you'll see that I always said, I'm going to eventually explain why this channel is called People by Their Covers. So what better time than today to do that? So why is this channel called People by Their Covers? So a decade ago, I had this idea that I was going to do street interviews. And these street interviews, I was going to basically go up to people and just basically stereotype them. Now, this isn't like a Steven Crowder BS, like, change my mind just to bait people into a debate. It was more, I wanted more of a positive income. It was more of a, hey, I'm going to tell this person that I think that they're racist just based off how they look, and I want them to explain to me why. Yeah, I was actually going to do some ballsy shit like that, but in hopes that a conversation would ensue and he would not prove to me, but like explain to me why I'm wrong. And then the end of it all, at the end of each episode, the moral will be that we shouldn't judge people by their covers. So, or, judge a book by its cover. So it's kind of a play on words off that old saying. So yeah, so that was actually going to be my that was my goal for this channel. But something, when I looked at the last, like, I think 6 years of just kind of living in our country, which is the United States, by the way. I was just kind of like, yeah, you know what? We don't need that. We don't need a channel like that. And part of me still wants to do it, but I was just like, nah, dude, like, everything is just too polarized now, and, and too separate. So that's why the channel is called People by Their Covers. Now, I kept the name, and I will more than likely keep the name, unless this podcast takes off, of course. I will more than likely keep the name because I feel like People by Their Covers still transition into the fashion world, because let's face it, like, our fashion sense is, when you're a fashionable person, it's about your own expression. I always felt like fashion was basically you were wearing your artwork, so to speak. So I still think the name of the channel is still applicable, and so I may keep it that way. Maybe we'll change the Talking Techware. I don't know. But that is why the channel is called People by Their Covers. So, and by the way, in that same vein, there will definitely be no political talk. So you don't have to worry about that. Just because I had this radical idea, I'm not radical, but more this crazy edgelordy idea, I guess it should be a better word for it. But it doesn't mean that it's going to carry over here. Like, I want to give people an outlet. I don't feel like there's enough, like, fashion outlets basically on YouTube. There are some great channels, obviously, that are much bigger than mine, that will probably remain bigger than mine. But I feel like there could still be more. I feel like there's a lot of, like, sneakerhead, like, streetwear, hype beast type channels. I feel like there's a ton of those, but not enough in, like, the niche sectors of fashion, like Techware and, like the Rick Owens space and, Gorpcore, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why this channel is called People by Their Covers. And I'm passionate about fashion, and that's what I want to talk about. I have fun doing the unboxing videos, and I'm just kind of like, dude, why not take it to the next level? I'm already rambling anyways, and basically podcasts are just rambling conversations. So I was like, yeah, why not ramble some more and put it in a podcast format, and also incorporate unboxings, which I have a couple of things that may be unboxed today. And that's actually something too that I plan on doing for the future. I'm going to kind of incorporate the unboxing videos with the podcast. So, like, if I get a new pickup or something like that, I'm going to always separate time in the podcast to do the unboxing. And I'll usually include that in the title, so you guys will know, like, what to expect. So, People by Their Covers, covered that. Got to look at my trusty notebook here. Other things. I do want to talk about something. I want to talk about how I got into Techware, because it was actually kind of a long road. And I actually think that the unlikely individual that kind of led me to Techware is Kanye West, believe it or not. So brace yourselves, story time, and hopefully my voice isn't shrill. Hopefully I got the nice listening voice that keeps you wanting to listen. You know what I mean? But yeah, how I got into style is actually Kanye West. So, funny story. I'll give you guys a brief background on my history. So I am a diehard punk rock fan, and still am. And usually in the styles of music that I listen to that have evolved over the years, are the nucleus of a lot of it is punk rock still. So, like, that's something I was very passionate about as a child. And as a child, I mean, like, started listening to it when I was like 12 years old. So yeah, how about that? And by the way, we're talking like the early 90s. So yeah, you can do the math. I'm old, but being a black kid listening to punk rock music and dressing like a punk rocker, boy, oh boy, the comments from white people and black people were rampant. Let me tell you. I didn't know where I fit in for so many years, but also I didn't care, because like it was my own expression, and punk rock just appealed to me because I just love the fast, hard, aggressive, rebellious nature of it, and that's kind of like where I was, like in my brain and in my heart, I just felt like a rebel. So I guess that kind of comes from having a dad who's in the military for 23 years and being a product of being a military brat. But anyways, yeah. So the punk rock style of in fashion, I didn't really start getting into fashion probably until around like my early like preteen, like 12 to like 13 years old, because that's actually when I had moved to Puerto Rico. And when I moved to Puerto Rico, like that was like I always say that was like my fashion awakening, because when I moved there, I never forget, like when we first got off the plane, like walking in there and just seeing all these beautiful people. Like not only was everybody like really good looking, but like everybody dressed to the nines there. Now, because I was like a punk rock grunge kid, I wore the typical grunge clothes, like I'd wear like band t-shirts. So, I'll wear like a Nirvana shirt or a Ramones t-shirt and some tattered pants, or some long johns with some Doc Martens, or shorts with Doc Martens. Like it was just a very 90s grunge / punk rock aesthetic. And then I obviously fit in some Chuck Taylors and stuff like that there. And, but what was interesting about Puerto Rico is when I moved there, I started skating. And the style, so like the punk rock kids in Puerto Rico, they were basically like surfers and skaters. So they wore like a punk rock style, but it was sprinkled in with like the surf skate style. So like, they'll have like these really beat up jeans with like some, I don't know, some Vans, but with a Billabong shirt, or a Rip Curl shirt or something like that. I don't know if these brands are still around because I'm not really in that space anymore. So yeah, so then I started skating. Got into like the skating and surf scene quite a bit when I was living in Puerto Rico. And it was from there I just really always started just caring about like how I looked. The thing is though, I made that surf skate thing kind of like my own. Like I still wore like my band t-shirts and still kind of sprinkled in like my punk rock style with it, et cetera, et cetera. But anyways, so fast forward to, to my mid to late teens. Still stay true to like that punk rock culture, attitude and style, etc. But I really started getting into like sci-fi movies and stuff, and probably in my early teens, like my late teens. I didn't really become a full-fledged Star Wars fan, even though I liked it when I was like little. I didn't really become a full-fledged Star Wars fan until I was like in my like mid-teens, because it was kind of, I had this stepmother and she sucked, and I and she liked it, a lot of that stuff, and I hated it that I liked it too, so I just kind of like acted like I didn't. One of my favorite movies is Blade Runner. As you can see, I have a Rachel t-shirt on. Yeah, so like I was into like the sci-fi cyberpunk thing, and I did notice like a lot of the styles of clothes that were being worn in a lot of those movies, I just absolutely loved as well too. So remember that. So fast forward to my mid 20s. I'm still rocking my punk rock. So in my early 20s, I was kind of like more of an emo kid. And so I wore a lot of studded belts and tight jeans and tight t-shirts. And I was also like, that was realized when I was really, really starting to get into music and stuff, and I was in a band. So, I had like that look also for like the stage, etc. And keep in mind too, guys, especially if you're a younger person watching this, and I mean like younger, like 20s or younger, in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was a mortal sin to wear a band t-shirt if you didn't listen to that band. Like everything, the way you dressed was very much adjacent to the music you listened to. That was a big deal back then. And now it's so funny how like you see like the Kardashians wearing like Slayer t-shirts and shit and not getting their asses kicked by a metalhead. So it's my how times have changed. But so anyways, early to mid 2000s, 2010s, and then just in early 2010s, really was big into like the emo, like indie, like punk rock style, because I was getting older. So I was like trying to stay true to my punk rock roots, but then I was kind of like, let me adult it up a little bit. And plus at that time too, like I started like David Beckham was like one of like my it started becoming one of my fashion idols around that time, probably around my like mid to late 20s, and which leads me to Kanye West. So this is an interesting story. So I was looking to just upgrade my fashion style. Like I always do that throughout the years in case the timeline didn't give you that clue. But I was like, you know what? Like, how can I really like the way David Beckham dresses. Like he kind of has like this edgy, like punk rock, but it's also like a clean, like high fashion-y style, like very like refined. And I was like, yeah, man, I want to see if I can do that a little bit. You know what I mean? And so fast forward to around 2016, I'm dating this girl, and she's obsessed with Pinterest. And like she tells me, hey, like, oh, you're really into fashion. Did you know that Pinterest? Because I think I was like making fun of it or something like that. But she's like, yeah, they actually have a lot of fashion stuff on there. You can look at all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, wait, really? So I go on there. Next, I'm obsessed with Pinterest. So I'm looking at Pinterest for like fit ideas and stuff like that. And, I'm tagging a lot of David Beckham's fits because I really liked a lot of his, his stuff. Because like I said, he kind of flirted with that more mature punk rock style. And plus I was really big into like English indie rock, like bands like Block Party and stuff like that. And that whole scene was just really fascinating to me. So, and David Beckham kind of had a similar style as a lot of those bands and stuff. And I think it was just the indie rock style that was just going on in the UK at the time. So I'm pinning a lot of stuff. So then I pinned this one picture, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, and he's just wearing, it's like this all black outfit. He's got like a gray beanie on, black t-shirt, black pants. And then on his feet are these shoes that look like moon shoes. And I'm just like looking closely. I'm like, yo, what are those? Those are amazing. Like, what? Those are amazing. And then I thought to myself, that looks like some shit from Blade Runner. And I was just like, damn, I got to find out what those are. So, and they were these big gray shoes they were high top, and they had a big old strap on them and a zipper on the side. And I was like, okay, I need to look this up. So that day I was Googling like crazy. I'm like, David Beckham, gray shoes, big strap, gray moon shoes with big straps, like stuff like that. I'm like, this is just like what the hell? Like I can't find it, So then I find up a picture, and I click on it, and it says Yeezy 750s. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, I need those shoes. Now, here's the funny thing. Even though I'm very passionate about punk rock, stuff like that, I did also listen to hip hop as well. I'm from New York, and I was actually born in New York around the time when hip hop was like in its like starting phases. So, and that's another conversation we'll have another day. But yeah, so like I loved hip hop. So I didn't listen. I didn't know enough to know that Kanye's like alter ego name was also Yeezy at the time. So I'm like, Yeezy 750s. Okay. So when I finally find them, I see that they're this crazy coveted shoe, and like basically I can't afford them because at the time they were like, they were going for like, we're talking 2016. I was like the year they came out. Like, dude, I think I saw them for like I don't know, $3,000, like something crazy like that. So, but I wanted them really bad. But anyways, dude, so I'm looking at these shoes, I'm looking at all these pictures, and I find this iconic photo that's now an iconic photo, and it's what's later known as the Yeezy Season 1 photo. And you guys probably, if you're a big Yeezy fan, you guys know which photo I'm talking about. It's the picture of Kanye. He's got a black hoodie on. I think he's wearing some 750s, and he's standing in front of all the models for the Yeezy 750 line. They're all wearing like these crazy oversized bombers and all these crazy warm colors, and thought the same thing. I'm like, holy shit, this looks like some shit out of Blade Runner. You know what I mean? So my mind is just blown, and I'm just like, oh my God, like this is amazing. So fast forward, I get into the sorry about the phone ringing, by the way. But fast forward, I start really getting into Yeezy all those years, and I had several pairs of Yeezys, and then that led me into like wearing more like Fear of God stuff, because I liked what Jerry was doing in the early years of Fear of God, where he had a lot of the like a lot of the like the band t-shirts, and he's collaborating with like Metallica and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is awesome, because I can kind of still fit into like the streetwear style and still kind of stay true to my punk rock roots, et cetera, et cetera. So then just something happened to me at that time. I just became basic, and it was weird. It was a weird time, and I think part of it was because there's a company called Menlo Club, which you guys, if you're an OG watcher / listener, you know that I still consider myself a Menlo Club ambassador, but because I do wear some of their pieces incorporated in my Techware now, but yeah, I think they're more of a menswear, so that's like super basic. So I think because I was wearing that, and I was kind of like floating into this Fear of God, I started wearing Fear of God Essentials in 2018, which is I think the year they first dropped Fear of God Essentials. And I started kind of wearing all of that stuff. And then just like fast forward like 2 years, like all of a sudden I'm looking in the mirror one day and I'm like, dude, what are you wearing? Like, why do you look so basic? like what are you wearing, dude? You know, and I think and I'm not like proud to admit this, but I think the clout kind of got to me a little bit, because like when I started posting a lot of fit pics on Instagram, I was getting featured by like huge, like really, really big, like streetwear pages with like hundreds of thousands of followers and stuff like that. And I started gaining followers too. So I think a lot of that stuff kind of went to my head. I think the clout a little bit kind of went to my head. So I was like, oh, I'm going to stay with this clean, basic, style. Now, do not get me wrong. If you are a Fear of God Essentials lover, absolutely no, please don't take this as me insulting you, because I'm not. Like, I think Jerry Lorenzo's a brilliant designer. In fact, I still have my Fear of God ones because they fit really well into like my Techware and futuristic style. So please do not take offense to me saying that. I'm not saying it sucks. I'm just saying it's just not. It's not for me. Especially not anymore. I mean, and if you look at my history, it's weird that it was ever for me, and for any reason. And I'll be honest, I just feel like I feel like hype beast style, like it just started to look really cringe to me. Like it just really started, I don't know, like when I would see like, the Fear of God Essentials stuff, especially, like everybody just became a Fear of God Essentials like army, like clone. Like it was just so, like just everybody's got the Essentials logo, and I was just like, man, this is just a weird kind of sameness. If it's dystopian, but not in a good way, in my opinion. But anyways, so yeah, fast forward a couple of years, pandemic hits, and we have to wear a mask everywhere. And it's kind of interesting how Menlo Club was actually also partially the reason why I started kind of wearing Techware, because one day I was just like, after I was like reaching this awakening of like, dude, what are you wearing? Why are you wearing this crap? I was just kind of like, you know what? Like I'm gonna just like, I want to upgrade my style. I want to go back to like the darker, edgier style that I am used to, that's more me. And so I was actually looking through the hashtag Menlo Club one night while I was on like some restless night. And there was a guy wearing like this really awesome, like it was Menlo's part of Menlo Club's athleisure line, which is now called Grand Running Club. It used to be called wow, I can't remember what it used to be called right now. It's brain fart, but sorry. But anyways, and he put these pieces together in a way that made it look very futuristic. And I was just like, yo, this looks awesome. Like, and then I saw he hashtagged Techware. So then I clicked on it, and then that's when like the floodgates opened up. I was just like, oh, this is really, really cool. So then from there I discovered, and I just want to say I owe everything I know about Techware now, I owe it to Corbin Coffee. Definitely check out his channel. Fly with Johnny Ty, and This is Antoine. Fly with Johnny Ty was the first person I ever watched anything as far as like Techware related. He's an amazing person, by the way. Like it's funny, like I think that kid, I think he's old enough to be my kid, but he's just such a cool so wise beyond his years. That man, he's a man. That man is just wise beyond his years, and I've talked to him a couple times. Very cool guy. But yeah, his channel was kind of like my like awakening, and then that's when I discovered Corbin and stuff like that. And I discovered them like on Instagram because they were hashtagging Techware. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to do a bunch of research on Techware. So I started doing a bunch of research on Techware, and then I saw how much it like a lot of these people look like they could have been from Blade Runner 2015 and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, this is for me. This is my thing right here. This appeals to everything I love about fashion and everything I've always loved about darker fashion, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, so that's the story. That's how I got into Techware. And that was super long and rambly. I apologize for that. But speaking of darker styles of tech, or not Techware, but just darker styles of clothing in general, Techware has also made me discover other parts of niche fashion. And as you guys know, I've posted a couple of Rick Owens videos, which actually those do very well, which is also why I decided to do this, because like I feel like there's coverage out there of these like niche sectors of fashion, but like I feel like it could be taken further. I felt like a podcast would be a better way to do it. But anyways, we got a couple of Rick Owens pieces that I actually got like a month ago that I still haven't really opened. But first, actually, hold on. I'm gonna open this other piece first, and then the podcast is gonna end because I think it's been going far too long right now. But these bad boys right here. So these are awesome. These are actually the Rick Owens Creech cargos. And I love these because like it isn't just your standard Rick Owens. It actually has like some technical design properties to it. Like it's got like these awesome cargo pockets that go in the front. That fits your phone perfectly. But then there's like these really, really deep pockets that go way down as well too. And then of course the signature tan drawstring. These feel like they're going to be comfortable, by the way, like very comfortable. Ooh, I can't wait to try these on. And coming to a fit pick near you. Follow me on Instagram. But yeah, these are very, very cool. I like them a lot. I love this. I just love the way this looks. And when I saw them in the picture, I was like, oh, that's cool, because it kind of like still, and that's one thing I love about Rick Owens. His stuff is more like retro futuristic. So this is like a very, retro futuristic looking pant, I thought. And I was like, yeah, I got to get those. So yeah, so that's the first piece there. Damn, I'm pretty excited. Fall's going to be lit. Let's see. This guy. I really wanted this in black, but they were all sold out in my size, unfortunately. And this is actually the pullover. Pretty cool as well too. I think these are going to look really, really good together, especially with my my turbo weapons in white. Whew, I can't wait to rock this in public. Holy smokes. I can't wait to post a fit pic of it too. Yeah, just nothing crazy. Feels very, very light. Standard stuff. Let me see something real quick. Does this have this too? Oh, it does. What is this, you guys? So obviously you guys know I'm not a seasoned Rick Owens wearer. What are these? Like, what are these for? Is it just for decoration? Does it serve a purpose? I dig them. I really like them. I think it's a really cool like thing to add. It doesn't need to make sense, but if they are for something, I want to know how to use them. But yeah, man. So those are my couple of Rick Owens pickups I got. Can't wait to put those on and rock them in the real world. But you guys, that concludes the first episode of Talking Techware. Like I said, my goal is to get some guests on here. I do have one guy that told me that he'd love to be a guest on here, and actually we're gonna be talking about Rick Owens. He's a very seasoned Rick Owens wearer, and his fits are just amazing. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, hopefully I'll have another episode next week. Like, subscribe, please. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so definitely subscribe. I don't really care about getting any more than that, but it would just be cool to get 1,000. So on that note, La Familia YouTube, The rambling is over. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm out of here.